I actually have a question in which the children can answer a simple question. Okay? All the kids. All of the leftover kids. Do you come to church to be amused, to have fun, or inspired, heart thinking? That's a question for all of us. And there's two different words with different kinds of meanings. To be amused is to break down the word muse, to receive something, to escape problems, to kind of heal yourself from the daily grind. So you go to the movies or you watch a magic show and you kind of ponder, how did he do that? How did that happen? How did they make this movie? How did, the hows and the whys of our lives are often you muse, and you are amused by thinking of different things. And some of the purpose is to be inspired, to receive let's continue with entertainment. Amusement and entertainment, it has different meanings. Like when you entertain guests to dinner, it's not that you're putting on a show. You're receiving them to offer something. You're entertaining an opportunity for people to communicate and feel emotions and share good times, to escape boredoms and burdens. Then when you entertain, you sometimes feel inspired. These are two words that came to me last night. Inspire means to fill someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something, especially to be creative. So the reason people often come to church is they testify to being inspired. But it only often lasts as far as the front door on the way to the car. We're talking over lunch, you had a very inspiring message, da, 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 da. But how far do you carry that inspiration into your daily life? So it might seem that I'm kind of skipping topics a little bit, but they all coalesce towards the end of the message. So last night, while pondering this sermon, True Mother spoke in didn't speak, but some of her words were expressed at the Las Vegas workshop today that I attended before the Blue Dragon tour started. And part of her testimony was the importance of numbers in the providence of restoration and how it moves our lives to entertain and be inspired by those numbers. Of course, 3 comes to mind because for some reason 3 came to mind. It was an inspiration. We're familiar with 3, 3 stages of growth. I won't get into the whole principle of creation. But the triple objective purpose, 3 stages of growth. Even the world around us, 3s are significant for physical and spiritual life. 3 minutes of air is considered a generalized maximum time for life. You hold your breath for 3 minutes. How many have ever tried? Yeah. Any scuba diver or snorkeler is familiar with holding their breath for an extended length of time. 3 days of water and 3 weeks of food. I find it interesting that we do fasting in the church, and often 1 to 3 day fasts are very common. But 7-day and 21-day are more uncommon. Who has done a 21-day fast? It's really hard. Who has done 7-day fasts? the blessed couples basically. But think of the time in which you were doing the 7-day fast. What were you engaged in? Were you around a center? Were you doing lectures? Different mission purposes. When I did my 7-day fast, I was a team captain on MFT. And past day 3, I had a co-driver who kept an eye on me. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Usually it's concerning staying awake, traveling between cities, for midnight blitzing, etc. But in my case, because I was involved with a 7-day fast, and it's a very active schedule. Your body is active all the time. I gotta admit, from day 5 on, the steps of the van gate up behind the wheel got taller and taller. I was pulling myself up. But once you're seated, then it's pretty easy. All you're moving is your feet, and, your eyes and the steering wheel. But up to that time, you start to feel different. And your dreams sometimes get bizarre. Sometimes deep and meaningful, sometimes just, it's like kaleidoscopic colors and images, not quite all there. And last night we were talking together during gaming, and one issue came up that, I guess it's later now. I'm going to do that. That trying to reach God is a quest for many of us. It's something that we really have to struggle with. And throughout history, there have been, the term is vision quest, periods of indemnity through, it might be fasting or prayer or even self-torture, to receive a vision that identifies you in relationship to the world and your inner purpose, and hopefully a goal or direction in your life. So, out of random curiosity, I started to explore more about vision quests. I mean, it's common throughout history. In India, Africa, South America, there are places that are places of power. Let's just say that. There are circles like Stonehenge, there are pyramids all around the planet. There are places that, for those there at that time, felt imbued, immersed in a particular kind of energy or magnetism or spirituality. There are lines of force and power that are all around the planet, and where they come together is called a nexus. And these are places that are very rich in either an electrical charge or magnetism. Some kind of energy exists there. And so one of the things that Mother gave us was the Zhongshanwan, which had become, for us, in many of us, a place of spirituality, a place of power, a place in which the veil is growing thinner in our being able to reach higher planes of the spiritual world and reach God. We go there to experience a direct relationship with God. And it is, in this time, in this period, a kind of merit of the age on the foundation of sacrifice and effort on the part of true parents, the part of Jesus, the part of saints and sages throughout history, that give us, at certain times, a force or inspiration to move forward with our spiritual life, that we might embody our physical lives and our physical relationships, that we love each other more deeply, that we are kind, that we are respectful, that we feel things around us deeply. So, The rule of three is, just out of curiosity, I started, like many times in Christian life, you just open the Bible randomly. And this is God's message for me right now, right today. And I thought, well, 3 is a powerful number. Let's check out 3. So what's the third book in the Bible? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Yeah. I forgot. I didn't know. Genesis and Exodus, but I think about Numbers, Deuteronomy, but Leviticus. So let's crack the Bible and see what Leviticus has to say. All right, the third book of the Bible, the 3rd chapter, the 3rd verse. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So we have fire, and throughout the Bible, throughout divine principle, we express fire as being symbolic of truth. To burn away old concepts, to offer purification. So we'll let that dwell a moment. And what's chapter 3 in divine principle? And this is where, interestingly enough, you start to get a certain pattern. Now, why would chapter 3 be important in regards to Leviticus? Well, chapter 3 talks about the meaning of the last days. And we address the last days of many meanings, everything shall be burned up in fire, da da da. So the meaning of the last days, section 3, Section 3, verse or paragraph 3. There we go. 3. The dead rise from their tombs. Okay. Again, we have an offering of life, the dead, and tombs. It's a short reading. It says, the dead shall rise from their tombs, Matthew 27:52, and Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians 4:16. It says, when Jesus died, the tombs were also opened. Many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. To connect that a little bit to Junction 1, what do we do when we go to Junction 1? We're reaching into, and we're opening doorways in ourselves. We're reaching into the spiritual world. We're trying to find a pathway that God can enter through and inspire us and guide us and give us purpose. This does not mean that their flesh literally rose from the corruption. If the saints of the Old Testament age living in the spirit world had literally risen and coming out of the tombs, had gone into the city and appeared to many people, they would surely have been testified to by the Jewish people about Jesus, because they knew that Jesus was the Messiah. If this happened, even though Jesus had already been crucified, then no one, upon hearing these testimonies, could have failed to believe in Jesus. If the saints of the Old Testament age had been raised from the tombs, again assuming their flesh, their deeds should have been recorded in the Bible. However, there are no such records in the Bible. Then what is the meaning of rising from the tombs? This is the record of the spirit men of the Old Testament age being resurrected and appearing on earth in spirit. Just as the spirits of Moses and Elijah appeared to Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration, then what does tomb signify? The realm of former spirits which are dwelling in the Old Testament age saints was a darker place than paradise, which was opened by Jesus. Thus, formed spirit's realm was called a tomb. The spirit men of the Old Testament age, staying in this region of the spirit world, appeared to earthly saints. Okay, we're in a different age now. I mean, the age of law and sacrifice has passed. The merit of that age was to find peace between people and God, offering, that God might pay attention to their prayers, to their situation. Then we have the era of Jesus' love, in which case, as this resurrection information attains or attests to, that spiritual beings can manifest themselves in the physical world under right circumstances, under right motivation. And so, when we go to Changsheng 1, we're trying to discover what Mother calls the essence of God, the essence of Jesus, the essence of true parents. What is essence? So I was dwelling on that, I was looking it up. And essence is the intrinsic nature or indispensable quality of something, especially something abstract, that determines its character. Now, in a sense, what is more abstract than the concept of God? God is very abstract, although we're guided by expression, by words and so on. It's hard to pin down who and what is God. So what is God's essence? We could say, oh, the essence of God is love. Well, what's the essence of love? All right, another explanation of essence is a property or group of properties of something about which it would not exist or be what it is. In other words, there are properties of God that we become aware of through the right principle, different expressions, and so on. This is the conclusion. This is what everything wraps up to be, is my thought. The Junction 1 is a stepping stone aid to experience God directly. The veil may be thinner there for us to experience the high spirit world, but also I believe that the merit of the age, in the age of true parents, is allowing more people, members and non-members, to experience God directly, more often in surprising and even shocking ways. So it's not us alone in the Unification Church is trying to reach God, trying to have experiences with God, and direct spiritual relationship with Heavenly Parent. The essence of God cannot be explained by words. It must be experienced together with God. When deep, sincere resonance of heart connects with God, there are tears. There are almost always tears involved before and or after. So, a word that we've kind of locked into is the word resonance. Resonance is a sympathetic vibration of frequencies. Any musician is intimately aware of resonance. Say, for example, in the classic science example is a tuning fork that you own. And because of that vibration, it's the same as another tuning fork. It hasn't been touched except held. Both start vibrating. So when you have the right resonance, and resonance is close to or matched up with God's resonance, His essence, then you become one with God. So the term resonance, we often get locked into words as guides. but sometimes they're a little bit strange. So we think in the junction one, and it is been said, expressed in resonance to God, expressing absolute dedication, authority, power, will, strength, determination. God is already familiar with that. Throughout history, people have shouted to God. But another kind of resonance is deep in the heart. It's often very quiet, but you know that you're resonating because tears will come. And who has cried more than anybody for anything in existence is God. So God can resonate with tears very well. So you give him a partner, a friend, to share his feelings with. And if your feelings are based on the foundation of each other's sacrifices and offerings, preparing sacrifices and offerings, then I think a big doorway is open for a direct experience with God. So we'll leave it there for people's consideration, their inspiration, and music. Thank you. Join me in prayer. And Karen, we thank you for your guidance to our minds and our hearts and the things that you've made around us that we can perceive in nature and take part in and with. We thank you for the time that we can share together here, each having a history of experiences with you. We pray that you can continue being a force in our lives, in everyday life, not just church life, not just prayer life, but in the small things that we do, thinking about the essence of why we are here, what we're doing, where we're going. We pray that you can continue to guide us through each other's heart, who also have experienced many things with you. And we thank you for this opportunity. We invite you to share yourself with us through the rest of the day and through all our experiences. We pray these things as blessed Central families. Amen. I thought at first it was just going to be information, but information about art soon becomes tears.